All right, so we're here at Inspire. So I guess I should be able to find someone, I guess, who I can talk to. So. And look at that, Heather Newman. Hey, how you doing,
How are
Heather?
you, doll?
I'm doing really, really good. Hey, can I bother you for a couple of minutes and get some questions in?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Let's go for a wander.
Okay, cool.
All right, so thanks for meeting me here. It's pretty impromptu right now. So, what number Inspire is this for you?
I think, all told, I think it's 13.
Damn.
Yeah, WPC for a long time.
I thought I was old school coming in at 8, so well done on that.
Thank you.
What's your top tip for anyone coming to Inspire?
Shoes.
Shoes?
Good shoes, good comfortable shoes. Yeah, I'm in those today. I got
flips.
Well, I have a pair of cute shoes in my bag for the lunch, but when you're walking around, good shoes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Yep.
What's your biggest goal for this Inspire?
This one's about networking and connecting with our partners for Content Panda, for sure.
Okay, yeah, cool. And what's your favorite thing about coming to Vegas in general?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I turned 21 here, actually in the Aladdin, which is now the Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I was a theater major, so I do love the productions and all of the glitz and glamour of Vegas. So that would probably be my favorite. The food is great too. So.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now you're the founder of Creative Maven. What's the specialization of your company?
We work with companies on getting them a little bit more healthy as far as their employee engagement, corporate culture, and then I also do marketing strategy, brand, messaging, clarifying message. So
you're essentially taking all those skills you've learned all over the years and just essentially providing it to other people.
Yeah, and I've moved them into a workshop format, so I'm doing more workshops and online classes.
Yeah, great.
So it's cool. Yeah.
Why did you want to build your own company?
At the time, I'd been a Microsoft employee, I'd been a vendor, and I really wanted to build something myself. Yeah. And so just went for it, you know?
Your company name came from the book, The Tipping Point.
Yes.
What stands out about that book?
Malcolm Gladwell's a genius, and I really the categorization of the 3 different sections of sales and connectors and mavens. The word maven I thought was probably the sexiest word I've ever seen, although I'm probably more of a connector, so I'm a little bit of both, but I was like, oh yes, maven.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good. What book or ebooks are you reading right now?
Oh goodness, what am I reading right now? Jen Shapiro, the Badass book, definitely. I go back to Brene Brown's books all the time, and so I'm always constantly reading those. I just read Guru by RuPaul. Yep.
You're also the founder of Content Panda. Tell me about that.
Content Panda is an in-context, on-demand help, training, and support application for Office 365 and custom applications, and we now work in over any web app. So been around for about 5 years and love helping our customers.
Where did you come up with the name Content Panda?
We always knew it was going to be content because we always knew we were going to deliver content in context, right? Inside the UI. Yeah. And we wanted an animal. We looked at owls. We looked at all kinds of other things. And honestly,
like content owl?
Yeah, I don't know. It was one of those. And we wanted sort of a mascot and something that would stand out in people's UI. And so honestly, my business partner, Simeon Kathy, asked his 15-year-old daughter at the time what she thought, and she swiped on her phone and she's like, I don't know, Dad, everybody likes pandas.
That's true. Everyone loves pandas.
So it stuck.
You run your own podcast, Mavens Do It Better.
Yeah.
What's the focus of your podcast?
Extraordinary experts who bring a light to our world. So sharing stories of people who've been in the industry, any industry, and how they do what they do and what sparks them.
Nice. And any upcoming topics or guests you can share with us?
Oh my goodness. Today Sharon Weaver is going to be on, a wonderful colleague and friend of the SharePoint community. I just had Gina Belafonte on, who is the executive director of Sankofa, the executive director of the Comic-Con Museum, was last week. So I get people from all industries. It's a lot of people I know in all the different worlds that I have, and I love talking to people about their stories.
Yeah. Any favorite guests you've had join, so far on your podcast?
Oh goodness. I started in October, and I'm almost to 50. I think Johnny Juice Rosado, who is a good friend, who is a producer for Public Enemy and a musician out of New York in a band called The Odyssey. I also had a wonderful flamenco guitarist who's in his 80s from San Juan that I rolled in upon.
San Juan, Washington.
No, Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico.
That I came into his restaurant and he was playing, and he, Salvador Dali stories and all that kind of stuff. So Julia White has been on the podcast. She's amazing. So yeah, I've got a fabulous list, and it keeps growing, so yeah, it's wonderful.
Do you have any other podcast recommendations?
I love Pod Save America. That's one of my favorites. I really like that. There's these guys, the Tender Friends, that do reviews of chicken fingers, which is fun. And then I have a really good friend who works in the cannabis industry. Weed and Grub is theirs, where they talk about that whole industry, which is a big industry now and booming. So that's kind of fun.
Have you ever listened to My Dad Wrote a Porno?
I have. Yes, I have listened to that one for sure. Yes, I think everybody has. You kind of got to dip in there because you're like, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
You've earned the title of Microsoft MVP. When were you first awarded that? I guess. Title.
I've had it for 2 years.
Yeah.
So last year was my first MVP
nice. And what's the best thing about being an MVP?
The community. Just connecting with the community and the access to Microsoft and learning about all the technologies.
Right.
Yep.
And what drew you to the technology as a career?
It wasn't my first career. My first career was theater, and I did a lot of production in theater, and then I did a lot of marketing in the Seattle area when I had a theater company there back in the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed the marketing side. And so a friend of mine who I went to theater school with, his wife, Nancy McSherry Jensen, was the first GPM of SharePoint.
Yeah.
And she gave me my job writing the first 125 case studies for SharePoint, which I then deleted off the server, and there was no delete, undo. So you're welcome. You have an undo button and a recycle bin.
What's the best thing about being a woman in technology?
I think that, being a woman in technology is we've got such a great community, and I think that, gender to me doesn't matter when we're working together. It's knowing your craft and finding your voice and all of that. But I do love our community where we support each other. Standing outside the WIT lunch, about to go in there at Inspire, and I think the community is so amazing, and how we network and support each other is so important.
Yeah. And what would you say to other females considering a career in technology?
Go for it. It's a fabulous place to work. There's so many opportunities. Find your voice and look for mentors and look for companies that share your values. I think that's really a big totally. Part of it.
Yeah. Yep. Now, you've been a huge advocate for the women in tech. Do you recall your first event?
I've been involved in women in tech for a while. I think it must have. We did some things internally at Microsoft that were smaller, kind of grassroots back in the day, but I think it was probably SharePoint SP TechCon, where we did the Women in Technology lunches in conjunction with them, and Kathy Dew and Jennifer Roth and Lori Gowan, that whole group, really, when they created Women in SharePoint, really synthesized that. So I think probably some of those were maybe my first. What's
your recommendation for people wanting to get involved in women in tech advocacy?
I think that there's many groups. There's a diversity and inclusion, at Inspire. There's the Global Diversity and Inclusion Group at Microsoft. There's the Female Quotient, Girls Who Code. So there's a lot of groups that you can join. Join the WIT network. I've been a member, and it's awesome.
Now, other than yourself, who? I'm sure you don't look after yourself, but you're a massive part of the Women in Tech movement. Who are the other women in tech that you actually look up to?
Gabriella Schuster, for sure. She's such an avid supporter of all of this. Julia White, I watched her career from when she was on the SharePoint team, and now she's leading Azure marketing. So those two women I definitely follow. I'm trying to think of who else. There's so many, and so many in our MVP community that I look up to as peers. We really work with each other and help each other. Liz Sundud is a really good friend of mine, and we talk all the time about how we can do better. Caruana Gatimu is another person that we sort of mentor-mentee each other. So I have a lot of really strong relationships with many great people, and really great allies too. I have great allies in the men in this community, and I really am always very proud of how we work together.
Yeah, no. And what got you into the SharePoint community in the first place?
It was I was laid off from a job and needed one and was working in marketing, and I've always been a gadget head. I've always had a camera, all that kind of stuff as a kid. But literally it was Nancy, and she brought me in and she said, basically, Heather, if you can market a piece of luggage or a cup or technology and you understand marketing, you just need to learn the lingo. And so she gave me my first opportunity.
What was your first impression of SharePoint?
Oh my gosh.
Let's be truthful now.
Well, you know what? For me, I was like, what is this thing, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool to try and put everything in one place for you to do your work, you know? So to me, I thought it was a really neat piece of technology. I'd never seen anything like it.
What's your best sources for Office 365 information?
The tech community, for sure. Microsoft tech community. All of the different sort of like the roadmap, the tech community. I watch Daniel, Glenn, and those guys on the little message center reviews that they do, and Daryl, Webster. So, and I'm on Twitter a lot, and I see a lot there. It's a big community.
Do you have a favorite Office 365 event?
You know, well, I mean, I love this event. Inspire's always been very close to my heart. So like that's probably my favorite, because I used to produce Office and SharePoint's presence for this event, and so that's probably my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what has been the best destination you've traveled to for work?
Oh my goodness, I'm so blessed and grateful that I get to. I can't just say one. New Orleans is my favorite city in the entire world. I just went to New Zealand and was blown away. I got
North
to go to
Island or South Island?
The North Island. I haven't done the South Island yet. So
the Hobbit country.
Yeah, I know. I need to get there. But South Africa, London. I've been to a lot of great places because of my work. So.
What's your favorite Office 365 app that helps you in your company right now?
I love the combination of Microsoft Teams, Planner, OneNote, and I'm starting to use To Do. So OneNote, I gotta say, I love me some SharePoint, but OneNote, my heart is with you. I've been with you a long time.
Have you been burnt by OneNote at all?
Once, but I think it was more of it was a sync issue, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're forgiven. It's all good.
What Office 365 service would you love to see more of your customers using?
I think making that switch to Teams, and also using Planner. I talked yesterday about, I just want more interconnectivity. Tasks and calendar. We live and breathe and die by our calendars and tasks, and I want all of those things to connect in a better way.
Right. So it's fair to say that, Planner and To Do are essentially the Office 365 apps that you use the most in your role.
Yep. You bet.
You're a well-known speaker in the SharePoint Office 365 community.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first gig?
I do. I didn't do a ton of speaking when I was producing and working at Microsoft and then working as a vendor. I was logistics and content and all of that. And I didn't speak a ton at AvePoint in the community. I did more internal sales and marketing stuff for our teams and our customers.
Yeah, for sure.
But so my first community event for SharePoint was after all of that, and it was SharePoint Saturday, Utah. I think it was in 2008, maybe. I think, yeah. So.
And how would you rate that first speaking session?
It was great. I partnered up with my business partner Simeon, and we did one together, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I love being on stage. I was a theater person, so for me it was like, but I was nervous. I still get the flutters and stuff.
Yep.
I think, for sure.
How would what's the next conference you'll be speaking at?
SharePoint Saturday in New York City.
Oh damn, that's a nice one. Let's get to that one.
And I'm coming to Australia for Digital Workplace Conference. I'm doing 2 sessions
in Sydney
and
at the start of August.
and 2 workshops. Yeah.
Down there with Debbie.
Yep. Lovely Debbie Ireland.
I saw you speaking at a Comic-Con in San Diego. How did that come about?
A friend of mine connected me because of all the diversity and inclusion work I did Comic-Con last year, I did WonderCon this year, and I got asked back. They have a beautiful education program, and so I'm doing diversity and inclusion in comics and how we continue to spark those conversations. I'm a moderator. We have 4 panelists who are all voice actors who are like the voices in your ears in so many games, the Superman, T'Challa, and just tons. They're wonderful. So I'm excited again to go.
Well, that's good because you just answered my next question. So. And who will be your co-presenters?
Mela Lee, who's a voice actress in so many games. Kellen Goff. Let's see, Jason Lewis, and James Mathis III.
Gotcha. And Have you got your costume ready for the event?
I don't do the cosplay for the event.
Come on.
I know. I usually wear a dress as a moderator, so yeah, no, I don't do the cosplay stuff.
What was the most exciting announcement from Inspire for you so far?
I think all of the like seeing all the co-sell, just a lot of the new marketing materials that are available to us as partners. Some things I didn't know about. A lot of the Ingram Microm and the AvePoint together. That was a really exciting announcement, and just the continued look at the modern workplace for me was really exciting.
How do we stay up to date with your tips and content?
Well, I am Hedda, Hedda Newman, on the Twitters and Instagrams. CreativeMaven.com is the marketing business. ContentPanda.com is the software business. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I write on Medium under Heather Newman as well. And then the podcast, MavensDoItBetter.com, which is on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and all that. So,
nice.
Yeah.
And before I jet off and go get some nail polish remover from last night's show, any parting words of wisdom?
I just think with anything you do, I don't know, I sometimes I always go back to RuPaul. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else, right?
Yeah,
and I think for all of us, it's something we need to do every day.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, let's knock it out. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And I'll catch you later.
Okay.
All right, see you, Heather.
Bye, everybody.